Hey, Internet. Matsu here. I thought it would be fun to go through the Game Award nominations that just came out a couple days ago and share my thoughts on what I think will win personally and what I think the critics will pick. I think this is going to be pretty fun. I didn't end up watching the Game Awards last year. Don't really remember why I didn't, but I'm pretty excited to watch them this year because I think I've just been, in general, more I guess focused on the games that have been coming out and paying more attention this year. So for some reason, I just think it's fun, It's going to be a lot of fun to see what wins and stuff and try to guess which one's going to, win and all that stuff. It's a pretty fun time. But I also would like to say at the end of the day, all this is just harmless fun. It doesn't really matter what actually wins at these awards. What really matters is what you enjoyed yourself. It doesn't matter what some committee picks as the game of the year or whatever like that. This is just harmless fun at the end of the day that we can all enjoy. That is in the end ultimately meaningless. It's just for fun. So don't jump down people's throats just because maybe your choice didn't win is what I want to say. Well, I want to also clarify that I've actually gone through this on my stream already, but I wanted to redo it in a more focused video because my stream's all over the place. I'm talking with many people. We're having conversations and stuff. It could probably carry on for a little bit. So you'll see that I've already picked my choices already, but I'm going to tell you why I picked them. And then I will also tell you what I think will win. So the ones that you will see that I voted are my personal choices, but I'll tell you what I think will also win as well. So without further ado, let's get started. I am going to be skipping, by the way, esports athlete, esports coach, esport event, esports game, esport host, esports team, mainly because one, all these games I don't really follow. I don't really know any of these people. The only person from host I know is Golden Boy, and I've only seen his face on Twitter. I don't really follow any of these video games. I don't know any of these teams. I don't know any of these coaches, athletes. So if it was fighting games, I love me some esports fighting games. But if it's not, it's all first-person shooters or MOBAs. So I got no input on that. So we're going to be skipping those. We'll start off with best debut game. For the best debut game created by a new independent studio. So this is a studio that made their first game this year, or released their first game this year. I voted Mortal Shell because I might be a little bit biased, but I like Souls-like games. I personally didn't enjoy the game. I only played the demo. I found out it was $30 and it was pretty short. But among the nominations here, I didn't play Charon, but I heard Charon was really good. First time ever even hearing about Roki, if I'm saying that right. First time ever hearing about it. But Phasmophobia. I have heard about this because this is like a insanely popular Twitch game. I went with Mortal Shell because it's a pretty solid game. While I didn't like it, that doesn't mean it's a bad game. It is a pretty good game. It was a little slow for my liking, but what it does well. It is a little expensive for how long it lasts, though, but it is a good game, so that's why I picked it. Could be the Souls biasness. I fully will admit that. That's my personal choice. But what I think will win, Phasmophobia. Phasmophobia is insanely popular on Twitch. It just blew up, went viral. It is just super popular. I've seen this make Twitch channels. I don't know how it is on YouTube, but if it's that popular on Twitch, it's probably that popular on YouTube. It's an insanely popular game. There's a lot of buzz around it. I cannot be surprised with this game winning at all. Moving on to Content Creator of the Year. The only person that I know on this is Elena. I know Tim, but I will admit I don't watch him. I have no idea who this is. I know who this is, but I've never watched her stuff. I picked Elena simply because I watch a couple of her YouTube videos on YouTube. At the end of the day, I don't really care about this. but I just picked Elena because, hey, she just got a job at Santa Monica Studios as a writer. Pretty cool. So, yeah, I don't really care too much about this one. So, best multiplayer game of the year, I went with Among Us. The description says for an outstanding online multiplayer game and design, including co-op and massively multiplayer experiences, uh, irrespective of the game genre or platform. I went with Among Us. Among Us is another one of those viral video games. Technically, it didn't even come out this year. It came out in 2018, but it blew up this year. Uh, Animal Crossing is a really nice game, but I hear its multiplayer is not really that good when you're trying to connect with people. So if we're talking about multiplayer, I wouldn't go with this. It's kind of hard for me to nominate COD because COD comes out every year to the point to where I don't understand how people are not bored of it, because it seems like it's just more of the same every year. You know, when you get like the same thing over and over again, to me, it's just not as interesting. So I'm not gonna, for my personal choice, didn't pick COD. Fall Guys, I wasn't in the Fall Guys, but I can't deny that it's insanely popular. Although I do think the buzz of it kind of has gone down. And I would even say Fall Guys is more complex than Among Us, but I think Among Us's gameplay loop is a lot more fun than Fall Guys. I've heard a lot of people say they get bored of Fall Guys because it's lacking variety and stuff like that. So, and I personally like watching Among Us. It's hilarious to watch to see people turn on us. So, yeah. Valorant, I can't really speak upon this. I don't really watch it. I don't know much about it, so I can't really say anything about it. Personal choice, Among Us. What do I think that's actually going to win it from the critics? I want to go with Among Us or Fall Guys. Mainly because these are the two buzz games. I feel like Call of Duty would, if it won it, it's mainly because of its already established popularity. But that's my pick, Among Us, for both of them. Best esports slash racing game for the best traditional or non-traditional sports and racing game. I feel like non-traditional sports, like extreme sports, have been getting less popular as years goes on. I don't know if the X Games is still a thing, but I went with Tony Hawk Pro Skater 1 and 2, mainly, I guess, because of nostalgia. But they are two really good games. The first four Tony Hawk games are fantastic, and it doesn't get any better with 1 and 2. And the fact that they remade them, brand new graphics, the same old levels, some new stuff to them, is amazing. Classics brought back, given a nice fresh coat of paint for us to relive. I can't not pick this. I didn't really pick any of these other ones. Is NBA has terrible microtransaction policies. They are awful. Some of the worst in video gaming. Some of the worst. FIFA, I think, also has microtransactions problems. I honestly don't know anything about these two games. Dirt 5, Forza, F1 2020. I don't really know too much about these. I'm not the hugest racing fan. I play like maybe one racing game every like 5 to maybe 10 years. I assume they're really good games, but I just really can't say anything. But I definitely couldn't pick these two games. These two games are just nasty with their microtransactions. What happened to NBA 2K? Do you remember when it was the savior against Madden? You remember? With NFL 2K, I think it was like, was it 2K5 or something like that? Now look at them. They're now the enemy that they were trying to defeat. It's terrible. But my personal choice and the critic choice, I'm going to go with Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. Best sim and strategy game. Best game focused on real-time or turn-based simulation or strategy gameplay, irrespective of the platform. I went with Microsoft's Flight Simulator. It's crazy that they simulated the world map via satellite information with this game. I think it's amazing. It's absolutely stunning that you can just go from one point in the world to another and just, not only is it a really cool game to play, some people will probably say it's boring because all you do is flying, but discovery of the world, it's kind of like that Google Guess game. I think I forget what it's called. Geo Guess, I think it's called. It's kind of the same thing. You get to discover, like, see different parts of the world, see like the geography and stuff like that, I'm gonna go with Microsoft's Flight Simulator, and I also think they're gonna pick it too. Sadly, I didn't play any of these games, and the only one I watched was Flight Simulator, so there's probably a little bit of biasness there. I did play XCOM 2 recently for the first time, but I just don't think this XCOM game was that well received to win this. Gears Tactics, I heard good things about. First time ever hearing about Desperados 3, and Crusaders King 3, the same. Didn't hear about these, so Flight Simulator is my prediction and what I think the critics are going to pick. Best family game. For the best game appropriate for family play, irrespective of the genre or platform, I went with Animal Crossing, and I think Animal Crossing is going to win. Animal Crossing had a huge buzz around it before it came out. I saw content creators talking about this game even before it was announced, how they loved Animal Crossing, and when it was announced, their hearts just burst with excitement. And then the game came out, everybody loved it. It came out at a time where I think a lot of people needed it because of, the human malware that's going on right now. I can't see Animal Crossing not winning it. It's just such a feels good, man, game that I think a lot of people needed. If I had to pick a second choice, it would go to Crash Bandicoot, because Crash Bandicoot 4 is arguably one of the best Crash Bandicoot games they have ever made. It is so good on all angles of the game. The only reason I don't pick it is because it's so challenging that I wouldn't even call it a family game. If you play Crash Bandicoot is a hard game. It can be really tough. I'm not really sure if I would associate a hard game with family, but maybe I got the wrong idea. But at the end of the day, I think my choice is going to go to Animal Crossing's New Horizons for both my personal and what critics will pick. The other games, didn't hear too many good things about Paper Mario. Minecraft Dungeons, didn't really hear too much buzz around it. Nothing good nor bad. I have heard great things about Mario Kart Live. And Fall Guys, I just don't see it beating Animal Crossing. Best fighting game. For the best game design primarily around head-to-head combat. This one is kind of a no-brainer for me. Mortal Kombat Ultimate. They've done a phenomenal job with that game. They have introduced so many, characters in the game from other IPs, trying to bring in people like Rambo, the Terminator, RoboCop. Really cool characters from old movies and stuff that NetherRealm is always known for doing. But this year has been a really slow game. I mean, a slow year for fighting games. Tekken has released, I believe, 2 or 3 seasons. I might be wrong, but I know they definitely released 2. I don't really follow Street Fighter. I haven't played Street Fighter since Street Fighter 4. I hear Street Fighter 5 is not the best Street Fighter. And I will be fully admitting that I do not know what these games are. Grand Blue Fantasy, I've heard of it, never seen gameplay. Under Night in Birth, it's the same. I've heard of it, never seen gameplay of it, so it's kind of hard to pick those. And this is the first time I've ever even heard of One Punch Man having a fighting game. So Mortal Kombat's going to get my pick for my personal and what I think the critics are going to pick. But I might be missing out on something on these other ones. Personally, if Tekken was up here, none of these games, well, no, I wouldn't say none of these games. But Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter didn't come out this year. So I don't understand why Tekken's not here, because Tekken, I believe, is doing the same thing. But maybe I guess it's because there's no Ultimate Edition and Tekken is still releasing content. I don't know. Maybe Mortal Kombat 11's done. But I would like to see Tekken. Full biasness, but I'm going with Mortal Kombat. Best role-playing game? As you can see, I picked Persona 5 Royal. I love that game. I loved Persona 5, the original, played Royal, loved it even more. My favorite RPG probably in the past 10 years. The game is amazing. I encourage everybody to go play it, especially if you love anime, if you love visual novels. The game's amazing. This is my personal choice. Absolutely love it. The other choices are Final Fantasy VII, Genshin Impact, Wasteland 3, and Yakuza Like a Dragon. I can't pick Yakuza Like a Dragon because I haven't played it. I'm currently just getting started on Yakuza 3 and working my way to Dragon. So sadly, I can't pick this. I did play Wasteland 3 for about 2 hours. Then I returned it, not because I didn't like it, but because I wasn't in the mood to play that kind of game. It was a great game from what I played, but I can't pick it because I didn't finish it. Genshin Impact I've watched quite a bit, and I know that this game is ridiculously popular. But I also know that it has gacha mechanics that some people do not like. But I can't dispute that a lot of people have said that this game is really good. It's a well-crafted game that is free, that you don't have to spend money on. And the fact that it's free and some of these other ones you got to spend money on it's crazy. Final Fantasy VII Remake, I believe, is going to win simply because it's in the Game of the Year nomination. But I want to, when it comes to Final Fantasy VII Remake, I'm trying to not let my biasness get in the way. It's really easy to pick Final Fantasy VII Remake because of the nostalgia of the original game, right? It's really easy to do that. I do believe it's going to win this. Second place, I believe, is going to go to Genshin just because of the popularity and the success around the game. If there was a third, I don't know who would win. I would love to see Persona 5 win, but I don't think it's going to win because a big bulk of the content is the same from the original game. Some people could say that about Final Fantasy VII, but I think if you played it, you wouldn't say that, especially if you played both of them. So I'm going with Final Fantasy VII Remake for the critics' choice, but Persona 5 Royal for my choice, even though I don't think it's going to win. Because I love that game, and you should play it. Best Action Adventure Game. Games I haven't played on this list. Miles Morales, because I'm waiting for a PS5, and those things are... It's easier to win the lottery than find one of those things right now. Ori of the Will of the Wisps, I didn't play, but I've heard phenomenal things about. These are the only two games on this list that I have not played. I have not finished Assassin's Creed Valhalla at the moment. I finished Ghost of Tsushima, I finished Jedi, Star Wars Jedi The Fallen Order, and I finished The Last of Us Part 2. When it comes to action adventure, I gotta give it to Ghost of Tsushima. The game that I think is going to win it, and the game that I think is my personal choice. Valhalla, in my opinion, of the games that have been played, is inferior to Ghosts in an open world aspect and in an action aspect. Ghosts, the fighting stances in that game are uniquely crafted towards this type of enemy requires this stance, this type of enemy requires that stance, and then they throw all the enemies at you, and then you have to switch stances, identify and switch your stances on a whim to counteract that particular person. And I think that's really well crafted. Where Valhalla, you can kind of just brute force your way through the game. Some people could probably say the thing about Ghost, but I think Ghost's system is a little bit more innovative than Valhalla. And like I said, I think Ghost just does everything better than Valhalla does at the end of the day. I can't speak on Miles Morales. And Jedi, I can't say too many good things about this game. It looks great, it sounds great, but for an actual video game, it's trying to be like a Souls-like game without the souls. The adventure part of the game is non-rewarding. You can go around and explore stuff, but all you get at the end of the day is just cosmetics that I feel like you don't even really care about. Maybe if you're a hardcore Star Wars fan who can identify like the different hilts and shafts, the lightsabers, you really care, but it's not the same exploration experience that you would get with a Souls-like game that they're trying to emulate here. The combat's fun. The combat was really fun, although at the very beginning of when the game came out, it had a hard time running on PC, and they didn't update it for like 3 to 4 months. I couldn't even play it. I had to wait until they optimized it. And that I just can't pick. It was a fun game. It is a little bit on the short side. And if they could figure out how to make the adventure parts a little bit more rewarding, I would like to pick it, but I just can't pick it. The Last of Us Part 2, it's pretty good. adventure-wise, I would say, but the action part, it's more of the same of the first one. The concepts didn't really change. They just improved on them. And it's I guess even though I haven't played the Spider-Man, I think Spider-Man mostly is probably the same as the original. So I'd rather go with a game like Ghost where it's all new, if that makes sense. I believe Ghost is going to win this, and that's going to have to be my personal choice on this category. So, yeah. Best action game, I went with Doom Eternal. And I also think it's going to win it. When we're just talking about the sheer action components of these games, it gets no better than Doom Eternal. I honestly really wanted to pick Neo 2 because this is its only nomination. And Neo 2, I believe, is a slept-on game. I think a lot of people don't like the Diablo loot system aspect of it. I think that's very off-putting for people. And the non-open world maps, but it is a phenomenal game that I believe gets overlooked. Neo 1 and Neo 2 are really good, really hard too. If you like Dark Souls, definitely check those games out. The loot system can be a bit overwhelming, especially when compared to how simplistic Souls makes their stuff when you compare it to. You got to play it to see what I'm talking about. But it's a really good game. I still got to dive into the DLC of Neo 2. I've heard amazing things about Half-Life, but I can't pick Half-Life mainly because of the entry barrier behind it. These games, at most, have $60 for you to have an entry barrier, beside the preference, if you have on console or PC. But this right here requires a big investment for you to get into. VR is not cheap. And at the moment, it's just so expensive that it's going to be so hard to award a game in an action category when the entry barrier is so excluding for so many people just because of how expensive it is. I know that doesn't really make sense for best action category, but that just makes sense for me. Streets of Rage 4 as well. I haven't played, but her art looks great. I would have liked to also pick Hades, but when we're just talking about sheer action, definitely got to give it up to Doom Eternal. ID Software nailed it out of the park. It's so good. Innovation in accessibility, I went with Valhalla, but the real winner here is all of them. I haven't played Grounded or Hyperroot. I honestly don't even remember the accessibility options in The Last of Us 2. Even though I played it, Watch Dogs Legion had really good accessibility as well, even though I wasn't crazy about the game. But the real winner here is all of them. The fact that accessibility is becoming more and more common in video games, allowing more and more people to play video games, is the real winner at the end of the day. That is my statement. But I believe I'm going to have to go with Valhalla for what they are going to pick and what should win. If you boot up Valhalla, the accessibility is right in your face. And once you get past that, it's very detailed. And then once you get past that, there's even more accessibility options when you go to the settings and look at it yourself. It is a real winner in accessibility. I said the same thing for Watch Dogs Legion as well. But when I went to go play Valhalla afterwards, it just took what Legion did and went a step further. So Ubisoft, I might not be crazy about their video games, but the accessibility that they're working on in their games is top notch, and it should be praised. Again, I don't remember The Last of Us, and I don't even know what these two games are. So my pick is going to have to be Valhalla, and I think the critics will pick that one too. But if they pick any of these, everyone wins at the end of the day. So it doesn't matter. Best VR game. I don't have VR, so I can't really pick. But I only voted on what I heard was really good. And I heard Half-Life was an amazing game and the biggest innovation and leap forward in VR that we've seen. So this first time ever hearing about Marvel's Iron Man. First time hearing about a Walking Dead VR game. And first time hearing about Dreams. I can't pick Star Wars because I don't think it was a good game. I don't know how it played in VR, but as a non-VR game, it wasn't that good. Maybe it's better in VR. I don't know, but I think Half-Life is the easy choice here. I think it's going to easy win by critics, and that's going to be my choice here. I just picked it because, but I don't really actually have a rightful say in this category. So there's that as well. Going next is the best community support game. As you see, I didn't pick anything here because I didn't play any of these games. Recognize a game for outstanding community support, transparency, and responsibleness, inclusive of social media activity, game updates, and patches. I don't really know who to pick here because I don't really follow any of these games. So I'm going to skip this category. Best mobile game, Among Us, because Among Us is just a really fun game. I will be full front that I haven't played any of these games except Among Us. Call of Duty, I imagine, cannot be that fun on mobile. Genshin Impact is probably pretty fun. First time ever hearing about this game, and Pokemon Cat, first time ever hearing about that game as well. But I'm going to have to give it to Among Us, and I think that's what critics are going to pick as well, because it's such a simple game. It's a simple game. I think it's developed by either one or two people, and it just works. It's really good, and it's a great idea of that simplicity wins at the end of the day, and I think that should be rewarded. Not everything has to be really complicated. Best indie game, Hades, easy. Hades is amazing. If you haven't played it, go play it. It's an amazing game. Absolutely stunning art style, everything. Best indie game, Hades is going to win this hands down. I will be shocked if it loses. Its only contender, in my opinion, is Fall Guys. I hear Spelunky 2 is really good. Spirit Far, first time hearing about it. Charon, I don't think there was enough buzz around it to dethrone Hades, but Hades is absolutely amazing. I've been playing it since the early access. Absolutely a fantastic game. You gotta play it. Best ongoing game, again, I'm going to skip because I don't think I have a rightful say in this category. Games on Impact, exactly the same, but for a different reason. I never even heard of any of these games. So, don't think I have a rightful say in this. Best performance, awarded for an individual for voice over acting, motion, and or performance capture. I went with Logan Cunningham as Hades. And the reason I went with him is because I believe he is the person who is the least likely to win. But I think he did a phenomenal job. I think he did just as good as everybody else. But I pick him because he's animated. And everyone else here is motion captured. And I believe that barrier alone is going to keep Logan from winning. So I'm going to throw my vote in with Logan, and I hope he wins. Who I think is going to win, I think it's going to be Laura Bailey for Abby. I wasn't crazy about Abby in The Last of Us, but that doesn't matter. Her performance was really good. She did a really good job. Ashley Johnson did a really good job. I can't talk about the guy who did Miles Morales. The guy who did Jin, though, did a really good job as well. But I feel like he's going to get outshadowed because he is a more calm actor. Or that's the performance. It's not really in your face, I should say. And I feel like that is going to keep him from winning. That style of acting is going to keep him from winning. So who I think is going to win? Laura Bailey. Who do I want to win? Logan, because I think he deserves it just as much as everybody else. But he's probably not going to get nominated, or I mean, not nominated, but not get picked because he's animated, and I think that's unfair. Best audio design? I went with Ghost of Tsushima because the world just feels very alive. Even though it is an open world game that doesn't have a lot in it, as in like everything's spaced out, and they want you to travel. The sound design from like hitting the water to the wind being your waypoint, and just hearing the wind and being able to tell where to go. The sounds from the swords clashing, the The sound that plays when you do a duel, I thought it was just so good, and it keeps you engaged in the game and in the era that the game is taking place. I think it was phenomenal. Resident Evil 3, I think is a hilarious pick because I don't think it deserves this. It's the only nomination it got. Don't think it really deserves it, but I will say its soundtrack's good, but that's not what audio design is. I think I don't really remember too much about The Last of Us 2's audio design, sadly, so I can't really speak on it. Again, didn't play Half-Life, so I can't really speak on it. Doom Eternals is really good, but I don't think its audio design is what it's known for. I believe its soundtrack is what it's known for. Not to say that its audio design is not as good, but I think its soundtrack overshadows the audio design. So I'm going to have to give this the Ghost of Tsushima. And I think Ghost of Tsushima is actually going to win it as well. I think it deserves it. It's a really well-made audio design. When it comes to score and music, I went with Hades. Hades' soundtrack had me humming it the entire time playing it. It's an absolute beast of a soundtrack. There are so many good hits in there. Darren did an amazing job. Doom Eternal also did a really good job, but I feel like this time around it wasn't as good as 2016's. Also, they had that fiasco with Mike and ID. I didn't really follow it, but I heard it had something to do with sound mixing. So I think that drama and that stuff's gonna keep it from winning. And I thought the overall soundtrack this year was a little weak. Ori and the Wisps I can't speak about because I've never played it. And again, The Last of Us 2, I don't really even remember the sound. It's starting to feel like The Last of Us 2 was just not a memorable game for me. Yeah. In Final Fantasy 7, it's hard to pick it because a lot of the scores and stuff come from the original game, remade, and a couple new entries. I like the new songs that they added, but I also love the old songs. And I'm trying to keep my nostalgia out of this because I like Final Fantasy VII just as much as everybody else. But when I take my nostalgia away, it is a really good soundtrack, but it's something that's already been done before. And I want to go with Hades because Hades is a brand new game and its soundtrack is just simply amazing. I think Hades is going to win it. And I think Hades is my personal choice. I can see Final Fantasy walking away with it because of nostalgia, but I can't see anyone else walking away with this one because I just don't remember The Last of Us. I can't see The Last of Us just getting it. I just can't. Not in this one. Art design, I went with Hades as well. Although Ghost of Tsushima was a quick second place for me. Hades' art design is beautiful to look at, from the levels to the character models to the icon interactions, the menus. It's just a gorgeous game. Final Fantasy VII has some texture issues, especially with there's bathrooms they look like PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2. There's a part where you're climbing up a ladder and you're looking down and it feels like it's just a giant flat JPEG. I can't see Final Fantasy VII winning this because the overall package is good, but there's parts in it that are lacking. Ghost of Tsushima is a beautiful game. If it won it over Hades, I wouldn't be surprised. Hades, I think, is my personal choice, but I think Ghost is going to win it. Last of Us 2, it did look great. There's a lot of beautiful parts in it, but I can't recall them. I'm having a hard time recalling them, sadly. I do remember the night cutscenes with the fire, and they looked really good. But I'm going to have to go with Hades. Best narrative, I went with Ghost of Tsushima. I have not played 13 Sentinels, so I can't pick it. Final Fantasy VII, I didn't go with it because, again, it's a story that we've already experienced before, but changed. I will admit. Hades, I didn't go with it because the epilogue is locked behind a massive grind wall, and I didn't find that fun. That's the one thing about the game I did not find fun. And The Last of Us 2 is a narrative that I just did not enjoy. I'm in that camp. I did not enjoy the narrative. There are some things I do like about it, but the narrative is one of the things that I personally didn't enjoy. I'm gonna go with Ghost of Tsushima. Its story is great. It's pretty it's nice. It's engaging, and everything around it just supports the narrative. So I think my personal choice is gonna be Ghost. But I won't lie, I think The Last of Us 2 is probably going to win it because of the controversy around the game. There's a lot of people, there was a lot of eyeballs on this game. Same with Final Fantasy 7. But I think Final Fantasy 7 is not going to win it because it's a game that we've already experienced mostly before. But it is going to be really cool to see where it goes. So, my choice is Ghost. The Last of Us, I think, is going to win it on the critics' side. Best game direction, I went with Hades. I think what they did with the game was amazing. It was the innovation in the roguelike genre was really good. They just took the roguelike format and just ran with it. It works so well. There's so many combinations that you can put together for so many fun builds, so many different weapons. These weapons also have modifiers. I think it's like 3 or 4 modifiers per weapon that have different just gameplay, even with the same weapon, even though there's only 6. Amazing. Ghost as well did a really good job with the fighting stances. The open world aspect is something that's not new. It's been done before, and some of the side missions are a little bit lacking in innovation, but its gameplay is really well done. The Last of Us 2 feels more of the same of the first game, just refined. So when it comes to innovation, I don't think so. When it comes to creative vision, sure, for The Last of Us. And Final Fantasy VII definitely wins the cake on both of these. Because innovation, taking a game from the PlayStation 1 and bringing it in the current day, that's innovative. Creative vision, yeah, I guess not as much because your foundation is already there, but innovation definitely. So my personal choice is gonna have to go with Hades because I think the overall package was really well. But I can see any of these games winning it, to be honest, except The Last of Us 2. I don't know. I don't think it was innovative that much. It was more of a refinement of the first game, I feel. But I don't know. Maybe it's just I'm just not recalling it. I don't know. But I think Hades is my... I think Hades will win it. Yeah. I think Hades is going to win it, and that's going to be my choice. And the big one. You might have thought I would have picked Hades because of all the awards I gave it. But my game of the year is Ghost of Tsushima. I think it delivered just a phenomenal experience. I can't recall that many aspects of the game that I didn't enjoy. There's some side activities that I think are a little letdowning. But outside of that, the game was amazing. It was, and also, I think it was a sleeper. Not like like a small sleeper, but I feel like this game got outshadowed by The Last of Us 2 in the media at every angle. At every angle. The Last of Us 2 came out so close to it. I think this game got pushed back so they could release The Last of Us 2 first. It felt like even from Sony that this game was a second priority compared to The Last of Us 2. But when I played Ghost, I had an amazing time. The story was amazing. The gameplay was fun. It had a lot of variety in what you could do. The characters and the setting was amazing. The graphics and the style and the art was beautiful to look at and explore. It was just so fun. They implemented a free DLC for it afterwards, allowing for multiplayer to be a thing. And I said in my review as I was playing it on Twitch, I didn't even think they would do multiplayer in this game. And they did it. It was just amazing. So I think Ghost of Tsushima is going to have a good chance of winning it as my pick. But I believe the game of the year is going to go to The Last of Us 2. I think The Last of Us 2 is just so popular. I can't not see it not winning. It's just such a controversial game. The previous game was so popular that I just can't see it not winning. I feel like critics are going to pick it. I don't think I can't say about Animal Crossing cuz I haven't played it. I do believe Animal Crossing is a great game, but among these other competitors, I don't think it's going to win. Doom Eternal, I can't really say why I don't think it's not going to win. I don't really have a good answer. I just don't feel like Doom Eternal is going to win, and that's it. I don't really know why. Doom Eternal is a great game. Its lacking part is probably its soundtrack, but everything else, it does above and beyond compared to 2016. It's a really, really great game. Its DLC, The Ancient Gods, that just came out is absolutely amazing. But for some reason, when you compare it against Ghost of Tsushima, FF7 Remake, and The Last of Us 2, I just don't see it winning. Same with Animal Crossing. I want Hades to be the pick. And I'm going to go there. But I feel like since it's an indie title, that's what's going to keep it from winning. I feel like the previous buzz from most of these games are going to inflate it over Hades, and Hades is going to get overlooked because it's an indie title. Final Fantasy VII Remake, I don't think it's going to win, mainly because we've seen it before, and it's not finished. It's an ongoing game that's not finished. As a standalone game, it's great. I loved it. I played it 2 times in a row. Absolutely loved everything about it. But I just don't think it's going to win. Does it deserve to win? I think if it won, I think it deserves it. Sure. I think any of these games deserve it, to be honest. They're all great. I haven't played Animal Crossing, but it is a great game. I personally didn't enjoy The Last of Us 2, but it is a good game. There's games that are far worse than it. But I want Ghost to win because I think Ghost deserves it. But I think The Last of Us 2 is going to take away from it. Well, that's my thoughts video on the Game Awards. This went on way longer than what I thought it was going to. I really got into it. It was pretty fun. Let me know what you think is going to win some of these awards down below. I would like to read what you guys think. I tried my best to not ramble too much. Maybe I did and step over my words, but this was pretty fun to do. It was pretty fun. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Again, let me know what you guys think are going to win. If you want to watch the Game Awards live with me, I'm going to be watching it with my community over on Twitch, over at twitch.tv/Akamatzu. I kind of hope that they're going to have a extension to where we can vote for fun as the awards are being presented. I think that's going to be, if that's a thing, I think that'd be a lot of fun. But yeah, December 10th, if you'd like to join us over on my Twitch channel, you're more than welcome to join us. We'd love to have you. But I'd like to thank you for watching. If you made it all the way through the video, thank you guys so much. And I will see you guys in the next one. Take care, everybody. Goodbye.